How did the late Roman army structure change? Imagine a vast empire under threat from fierce tribes and powerful enemies. How did the Roman army adapt to defend its borders and keep the empire safe? Let's find out. In the later days of the Roman Empire, the army looked quite different from what it was in earlier times. The old style of large, heavy infantry legions was no longer enough to handle the new challenges. So, the army was reorganized into smaller, more flexible units that could move quickly and respond to threats faster. One major change was the creation of two main types of forces. The first was called the limitanei, or border troops. These soldiers stayed along the frontiers, stationed in forts and watchtowers. Their job was to slow down invaders and act as the first line of defense. They were often locally recruited and not as mobile as other units. The second type was the complexities, or field armies. These were larger, more mobile units that could be sent anywhere in the empire. They included both infantry and cavalry and were considered the elite of the army. These troops were led by senior officers with titles like the Master of Infantry and the Master of Cavalry. One of the biggest shifts was the increase in cavalry soldiers. In earlier Roman armies, there was roughly one cavalryman for every 40 infantry soldiers. By the late Roman period, this ratio changed to about one cavalryman for every 3 infantry. This was because enemies like barbarian tribes and Persian cavalry were very mobile and needed a quick response. The army also introduced new units called auxilia. These were lighter infantry and cavalry that could perform different roles such as skirmishing and rapid strikes. They were more versatile than the traditional legionaries and helped the army cover more ground. Command structures became more formalized too. Large escort armies, called the comitatus percentiles, were stationed near the emperor or key locations. These forces could number 20,000 to 30,000 soldiers or more. They served as a reserve force to defend against invasions and also as a political tool to prevent uprisings. Another major change was the extension of Roman citizenship to all free men in the empire. This meant that the old division between citizen soldiers and auxiliary troops disappeared. The army became more diverse, reflecting the social changes happening across the empire. All these changes helped the Roman army better face the threats from barbarian tribes. The border troops could slow invaders, while the mobile field armies could confront and defeat them. Still, economic troubles and political instability made it harder to keep the army effective over time. In the end, these reforms were about making the army more adaptable and ready for the new kinds of threats the empire faced. The shift to a more professional, cavalry-heavy force with specialized units was a clear response to the challenges of barbarian invasions and frontier defense.